Hello and welcome to Pots and Trowels, which is brought to you with the support of Cobra Garden and Mr Fothergill Seeds. And tonight we are live in the garden. It's Thursday the 16th of July and it's 6 o'clock. Well, the reason we're live in the garden is because, believe it or not, it's a year since we started Pots and Trowels. So it's our first birthday. So we thought we'd have a bit of a birthday celebration out here in the garden and do something just that little bit different. So yes, we've been doing Pots and Trowels since this time last year. It's a year almost to the day, and it's all been all through the year. We've not missed 1 week. In fact, for the last 3 months during lockdown, of course, we've been doing 2 a week. So we've really enjoyed it, and thank you for all your support that you've given us, because over that time we've amassed over 10,000 followers, which is absolutely fantastic. Of course, I don't do it on my own. There's a team behind it. I just stand and do the easy bit, which is talk to the camera and talk about gardening. But behind the scenes, we've got Sean, who was lead cameraman, editor, director, anything technical is what Sean does. And then Jill stepped up to do camera work during lockdown, and she's assisting Sean. She does the catering as well and keeps us well fed and watered. So it is very much a team, and we really enjoy doing it, all of us. So we want to continue. So thank you for your support. Now, what we're going to do tonight, Sean has now just run back from the desk. He's there, come to take the camera. It's your chance to ask any questions you want. We are live in the garden, so anything could happen. I'll be wrong. Hopefully you've got me on the screen and not blank. But if you've got any questions, send them through. Jill is there on Facebook, and she will collate them and pass them to me, and we'll answer as many as we can. Or if you just got any comments that you want to make. Now, somebody's asked if we can have Molly in the garden. She is about somewhere. She might come later, but she is, but she just does her own thing. So what I thought we'd do, just wander across here, because we have had a question in, I believe, about roses. This is one that came in on Facebook just a short while ago. So we've had this question in. I'm just waiting until somebody passes it to me. But before that, I just thought it might be quite nice if we could just look at this penstemon. Now, this penstemon, beautiful plant in the garden. This is one of my favourites. It's called Alice Hindley, and it can grow to 3 feet tall, this one, and it flowers year after year. It's a really hardy, tough perennial. It's been in the garden about 6 or 7 years. I give it a good hard prune, more or less March, April time, when the worst of the weather's gone. This is all the new growth here, and it's just starting to flower, and it will flower from now, mid-July right the way through till at least September, October time. And as long as we deadhead it, keep taking these off, as soon as they finish, we just take them off there. They'll keep producing more. But it's an easy plant to propagate. If you want some new plants for free, all you do is you take some of the shoots that aren't flowering. So this sort of shoot here, you can see in the middle there's quite a few shoots that have got no flowers on. We can use those as cuttings, and all we do is we literally trim them with a knife to just a few inches long. We take off the lower leaves like that. Really simple to do. And the good thing about doing it now is we'll have nice strong plants to overwinter, and then we've got new ones for the garden next year. Where it's got big leaves at the top like that, I'm just going to take those off so that it doesn't wilt too much, because they lose the moisture. And there we have it, this short cutting. And if you produce half a dozen of those, get a small pot of compost, just dip them in around the edge, keep them cool. That's the secret, cool and moist. So put them on a windowsill and put a polythene bag over them, out of the sun. They root in about 3 or 4 weeks time. You know when they've root, because they'll start to grow. Take the polythene bag off, let them root a bit more, pop them up, and you've got some lovely plants for next year. So penstemons, really good in the garden. Now, up to the rose, I'm still not sure who sent the question in. I'm told I've got the question. Okay, so I'm told by Mrs. Fish that I've got the question. Oh, I have, yes. It's Jean. Hi, Jean. Jean is up there in North Lanarkshire, and she's asked about pruning roses. Basically just said, when do you prune roses? Well, it's not the ideal time to prune roses at this time of the year, really. We tend to do the main pruning in late spring time, so any time from March, April, depending where you live. Up in Lanarkshire, you probably do it sort of well into April, when the worst of the weather's gone, and then we can cut them back fairly hard to a bud, and that promotes lovely new growth there. But what we do at this time of the year is a bit of deadheading more than anything. So what you can do, any shoots that have flowered now, Mrs. Fish has been round already earlier in the week. As soon as a flower stem goes, she trims it back to a bud, and what will happen is we'll get a nice new shoot growing out of there, and then that will flower later on in the summer. Or the other way you can do it, which is very simple, is just wander around, and where you've got a dead head like that one, just snap them off, and the more you deadhead and just trim it back a little bit, the more it will produce new growth, and we'll get flowers right the way through the summer. So Sean's been busy earlier on today because he just loves doing the camera work. I can't keep him away from the camera. So Sean's been around the garden. He's been taking some pictures of plants out there and some things that are looking good at the moment. So Sean's going to play you a little montage in a moment. But before that, we've just had people that are live with us on Facebook. And I've got to say hello to Becky, Julia, Anne and Janet, and happy birthday. I'm not sure who the happy birthday is to. Oh, to me. Oh, they're saying happy birthday to us. Well, not to me personally, it's to Pots and Trowels. So we'll be back with you in a minute. Sean's going to play some of the things that he's been filming earlier on in the day. Well, hopefully that's just giving you a bit of an idea what's in the garden at the moment. We've got things changing all the time in the garden. I'm being told we've got lots of people watching on Facebook, which is fantastic. Thank you very much. And we're getting questions as well and lots of comments. Have we got anything, Jill? Thank you very much. I'm getting ready for a drink. I don't know about you. This is D. In fact, both of these are about figs. This one is D. Fig tree growing wild, what to do? Well, why wild? I assume you mean it's just growing like mad. They are really vigorous plants if you let them, and then they're in good fertile soil and they get the water. You can prune them back a little bit, and now is a good time to give them a summer prune to take some of that long growth off so you can calm it down, and then you'll get the little embryo figs developing later on in the summer that will develop and ripen next year. So certainly do a bit of summer pruning. Just make sure you're not pruning any big figs on that will be on the older wood. And Barbara says, can you take cuttings from a fig tree? Yes, you can. Very similar to the penstemon in a way. You just take cuttings, it's going to be a little bit longer, and you can do them now, and you've got really right up until September, so there's no rush. Put them in a pot, and they do bleed when you take them. They've got a white sap, so just be careful, it's a bit sticky and can irritate some people. But yeah, I've rooted them from cuttings, and it's a really good way to get new plants. So we're going to pop now into the veg plot. I've got a few things just want to show you in there. Sean's just unhooking the camera. That's the trouble, you know, we're only a small team, you know. All these big television productions that you see have teams of 20, 30 people running around, but we just do it, the three of us. So this question we've had in from Bernie in Cumbria. Hello Bernie, hope you're okay. She would like to know, how do you keep white butterflies off cabbages? Right, well this is my brassica bed or cabbage bed in the veg garden here, and there are various ways, and the butterflies you're referring to are the cabbage white butterflies, which lay their eggs on all members of the cabbage family. So it can be kale, broccoli, Brussels, cauliflowers, whatever. The little caterpillars hatch out, they're green, and they munch away, and they will completely ruin the crop if you're not careful. So you do have to control them. You can spray if you want to, but I don't like to spray anything that I'm going to eat, even if it's a natural insecticide. So the way we do it is we cover them over with a butterfly net like this, and it works really well. It's just a fine net, little insects can get through it, ladybirds, that type of thing, but the butterflies can't get in to lay their eggs. So it's just a physical barrier. They go off and lay them somewhere else, probably in your neighbour's garden, I'm not sure. And it works well. You've just got to make sure that you weigh it down to the floor so they can't get underneath. And what can sometimes happen is where the leaves are touching the netting, they will lay them on there. So if you find, and there aren't any to show you, but little clusters of yellowy orange eggs about the size of a pinhead, just squash them so they don't hatch. So that works really well. And while we're on the subject of cabbages, Richard from Bolton has asked about growing kale. If I just squeeze by you, Sean, this is some kale I've got growing in the veg plot. We've got this lovely red kale here, this looks almost like a purple leaf, and then we've got the green curly kale, and I've got another kale up there. Normally kale is a winter crop, so we sow it about April time and plant them out May, June, and then they're maturing from autumn, and we can pick them right the way through the winter. They're really hardy vegetables, they'll stand an awful lot of frost. So it's a bit late to do them for a main crop, but if you want them just for sort of young plants that you can use in stir fries and salads, because they're great raw, or even, you know, plants that have leaves on about this long, there's still time to sow the seed, but do it as quickly as you can. Just buy yourself a packet of seeds. Fothergills have a really good range of them, of course. Sow them either in trays or directly into the garden. Just keep the butterflies off and the slugs away from them, and you will get from plants sown, seeds sown now, you'll get plants by about a foot tall by October, November when they stop growing. So you will get them a small crop. So it's certainly worth a go. It's always worth a go, even if it's a bit late in the season, I think. So a couple of other questions we've had. Amajit from Leicester has been in touch about chilli plants. Actually sent us a photograph in, and the concern is that the stems have got dark marks on. And if I just pick this one up for Sean, then you can see on this one it's growing quite healthily. This is one that I've just brought out the polytunnel, and it's growing quite healthily, but you can see in the joints there we've got these dark marks on it, and that is perfectly normal. It's what lots of chili peppers and sweet peppers do. This is actually a sweet pepper, so it's going to have the bell peppers on, and it's just a natural marking on them. It isn't a disease or anything like that. It just works perfectly well. So, you know, don't worry too much about that one. We've had a few people with a similar query in the garden. David has sent the question in, but then Christine and Patricia said they have the same problem. It's all about the end bits of leaves on the apples that are curling up, and they've got little insects in there, and they want to know what it is and how to deal with it. Well, it's apple aphid, which is aphids and greenfly. They're all the same family, and they feed by sucking the sap out of the leaf in there, and they cause it to curl and to distort if you're not careful. So controlling them on an apple is a big strong tree. It's not going to do that much damage to them. It looks worse than it is, to be fair. So if it's on the long new growth, there's no harm why you can't cut that back by 6 or 8 inches at this time of the year. It's a little bit of summer pruning really, and that gets rid of them. The birds will of course eat them, and ladybirds will eat them. Again, I'd try not to spray if I can help it, but if you have to spray, then use one of the natural insecticides based on pyrethrum or a plant extract, because they're not going to cause too much damage to anything. But it's not going to harm the tree if you leave it. And the problem is, because the leaves are curled, it's difficult to get the spray into them. So there's some of the questions. I don't know if we've got any more. Jill, have we got coming in? I'm just going to get Mrs. Fish running in with oh, blimey. I hope you weren't planning on watching EastEnders or Coronation Street tonight, because cancel it, we could be here for hours. Oh, right, Steve, clematis wilt, how to stop it? Yeah, it can be a problem on the late flowering ones. The plants just suddenly wilt and go black. It happens within about 24 hours. There's not a lot you can do to stop it. Tip is, if you're planting a new clematis, always plant it deep in the soil, because that way it will produce more roots from the stem. So if you get clematis wilt, the tip is cut it down to ground level or just above ground level, water it and feed it, and then you'll get new shoots growing out. But it can be a bit of a problem. Anne has got no flowers on agapanthus. Well, some of the later ones aren't even showing buds. Got some that are and some aren't. Feed it with a high potash, tomato fertilizer or Fostrogen, anything like that. High potash is really good, and make sure that you feed on a weekly basis, not just now and again. Lots of feed they need. And Kim has said when to repot an acer. I would probably wait. You could do it now, you could do it tomorrow if you wanted to, Kim. Try and do it by sort of the end of August, but for me the ideal time would be, I think somebody's laying an egg over there, by the way. I think the ideal time to do it would be late spring, when they're sort of waking up. But if it's very pot bound, do it now. Water it well first, so you've not got a dry root ball. Slightly bigger pot, and it should establish quickly. Deborah's got loads of brambles in the garden. She wants to know how to get rid of them. The best way is to literally dig them up, because if you use a weed killer, you're going to have a dead bramble and you've still got to get rid of it. So I would do that. And we've got Neil, who's 10 years old. Oh, he's not. Neil's got a 10-year-old plum tree. I do apologise. And it's the first time with fruit, but misshapen and falling off. Not good. They get a thing called pocket plum, where they look a bit like a banana shape. And if you've got that, it's a viral infection they got, and there is absolutely nothing you can do. If they're just a bit irregular in shape, it's probably not a problem. But if they are definitely elongated and very often hollow without a stone in them, it's pocket plum. So go onto the internet and just look up pocket plum, but say there's nothing that you can do. Rachel, rose cuttings now. How long have we got, folks? Are we all right, you two? It's your arm making, Sean. It's your arm making. Rachel wants to know rose cuttings now. I would wait a bit longer. I like to wait till late August or September, when the wood is a bit tougher. So remind us in another month, and we'll show you on one of the videos there. Got to do a quick shout out. This is a first time viewer. This is Jeanette, and then we've got Janet, Rachel, Dee, Harriet, Ken and Ian all say hello to us. And then also Rachel wants to know, can I prune apple trees now? I'm just going to walk this way, Sean, so you can exercise. You can do a bit of summer pruning now, Rachel. By that, you're cutting off the long growth. If it's getting too big, you can shorten it by up to half, and then you get the fruit buds that form lower down. Shirley, do you use rooting powder? I don't tend to. If you buy rooting powder, it goes off very quickly. You've got to use it really within a year and keep it refrigerated. And I just forget. I stick it on the greenhouse shelf. It gets hot. So the good bit of it, the hormone rooting powder bit in there, can be damaged, and you're left with basically talcum powder and a fungicide. So I tend not to, and I think if you take the cuttings at the right time and look after them, you will still get a good percentage of them will root. Why terracotta pots on sticks? That's a good question, and I was going to mention it and I completely forgot. The idea is to keep the netting off the brassicas, just like this. I don't want to just lay it over them, because the netting, otherwise it touches them like that, and then the butterflies can lay their eggs. It is on this one because it's a tall plant, but in here, then the canes with the terracotta pots on are just holding the netting up. If it hadn't got the terracotta pot, the cane would push through the gaps in the netting. So simple as that really. You could use anything you like, old yogurt pots or anything. I just happen to have loads of terracotta pots. Right, Annette wants to ask about wisteria. Will it damage the bricks? Her husband is worried. Well, Annette, you can tell your husband not to worry at all, because the wisteria doesn't self-cling at all to the bricks. ivy does, or Virginia creeper, they've got little sucker pads and they stick to it. Now, even those, if you've got a really strong, healthy, a good, strong, solid wall, I'm ready for a lie down now, the little tendrils won't get into the mortar. It's only when it's really soft mortar and you've got gaps will those tendrils get in there, those little sucker pads. Wisteria twists round wires or through trellis, so it doesn't actually sort of cling. If you took the trellis away, it would fall away. So the answer is no, it does no harm at all to the brickwork. So tell your husband he can calm down and it's not going to be a problem at all. And I think we're pretty much getting to them now. So I don't think we've got any more questions, have we? Got 2 more questions that are coming in. And we are getting probably to the point where we need to think. I think Sean's going to have to rest his arms there now. So he's going to put the camera back on the tripod. So Jill's just scribbling away for me there.
Pen's run out.
Oh no, the pen's run out. We didn't have a spare pen. Black spot on roses. Yeah, it's one of those perennial problems, isn't it, really? And I don't think it's been as bad this year, to be honest. I think because we had that very dry start to the season. But if you get it, then what you can do, and I don't know as I've got any, there is a little bit on here that's just coming. If I pick that off there, it's just got a little bit of black spot coming on this rose here since we've had sort of cooler, wet weather. And that's how it starts basically. And we've probably also got a little bit of rust coming on it as well. But that is basically typically what black spot starts like, and it can get worse than that and the leaves will turn yellow and they will fall off. So if you've got a plant that is really badly infected with it, try and pick some of them off. But remember, if you've got a lot of green, that is still feeding the plant. So I would probably wait until the autumn. As they fall off, pick them up, put them in the bin or burn them. Don't put them on the compost heap. Can you take those then? I don't want to throw them on the garden, because if they fall to the floor, then they're just going to spread the spores. And of course you can get rose fungicides, which are very effective. You have to spray them fairly regularly, sort of once every 3 or 4 weeks. Won't get rid of what's already there. But what it will do is protect the new growth. So if you've got black spot on it now, you spray it, the new growth that you get over the next 3 or 4 weeks will be clean, but then the fungicide wears off. So that is then prone to it. So that's why you spray it every month, just to work as a protective spray on them. And I think our final question is about broad beans, and I don't know who it's from, unfortunately, but it's do sow autumn or spring. I've done both, but to be honest, I tend to sow in the spring. The broad beans that we're picking now is a variety called Robin Hood. It's a throwback to when I used to live in Sherwood Forest. I used to live in a tree, and it's a lovely variety. It's stocky and dwarf and has lots of pods on it, and I sow them usually February time in cell trays, just in the cold polytunnel, and then they are ready to come out into the garden by about April time, and then the rest happen. We're picking pods now. I find if I sow them in autumn and you get a wet winter, they just feel a bit sorry for themselves, so I start them off. You might be a week later, but I think the plants are happier doing that. So it's, oh, hang on, we've got to say hi to Maura, Julia in Greece. Oh, whereabouts in Greece? I wish I was in Greece at the moment. Helen, Roger, Lisa and Debbie on the Isle of Arran. So thank you very much for watching us. I'm going to move around here now, so Sean's just going to move the camera around because it is our birthday, and of course Molly hasn't even appeared for cake. Just Molly! So she normally appears when there's cake on the go. It is our first birthday, so we thought we would just have a little bit of something to toast with. So I'm going to light our candle, and we've got a bottle of fizzy here as well. So, oh, here she is. Molly, what's this? Piece of cake. Look, we've had a request for Molly. So this is Molly. Somebody wanted to know what Molly is. Molly is a Cocker Spaniel, and she will be 11 in November, won't you? So, but she's got to go now. She's very busy and she's rattling my microphone. So go on then, Molly, go and find it down there. Go and find it, that's it, off you go. Go on, go and find your elephant. Where's your elephant? She's got a pet elephant. So, would you like to light the candle, Jill? I don't know whether we can open this. So we just thought we'd have a little toast, because I bet you're all sitting on your settees. Some of you on the Isle of Arran, some of you in Greece, some in Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire and all over the place. So we just thought what we would do is have a little drink like this. Do you guys want a drink?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Can I pop it? Oh!
Why?
There you go. So, I would just like to thank Sean, because without Sean we couldn't do this, because he does an awful lot of technical work in the back. I don't have to social distance from Jill, of course, but he does an awful lot of work, so thank you to Sean and to Jill, that also does an awful lot to support it. So happy birthday, Pots and Trowels. Cheers everybody at arm's length.
Cheers.
Happy birthday, Pots and Trowels.
Thanks to everyone watching and following and sharing. We really appreciate it.
We jolly well do. So yes,
Happy
so we really
birthday.
do appreciate it. And we of course will be back very soon. So next time I'm going to be looking at a range of houseplants. So Monday that will be, I've lost track of the day. So on Monday we're going to be looking at houseplants, giving you a few tips on keeping them healthy, taking a few cuttings, making sure they look good, and give them a bit of a summer treat outside. So we'll be back on Monday with that. But I'm sure you've got to go and play the credits now. So back to the desk there. So thank you very much. Thank you for all your support, and we shall see you soon. And thank you for tuning in to Pots and Trowels Live on Facebook. Cheers.